Imagine embarking on an unforgettable journey through the heart of Italy, where every turn is a new treasure and every moment is filled with beauty and culture. You start your adventure in Rome, the eternal city. Next, you venture into the rolling hills of Tuscany, where the air is perfumed with the scent of vineyards and olive grove. The journey continues to Venice, the floating city of canals and gondolas, after Five Earth and Milan. But your Italian adventure doesn't end on land. It's about to get even more extraordinary. A magical journey through Italy, topped off with a house music festival on Costa Cruise. Dance under the stars, relax in style, and discover exclusive performances on deck, all while sailing to some of the most beautiful destinations. There are 3 packages to choose from. Sailing dates are from September 24th through the 28th, 2025. Book yours now at festivaloncruise.com.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Heidi's house. This is your host, Queen Bee Heidi B. And today's featured guest is DJ D. Wills. She is a DJ, artist, music producer, and radio host. I'm very excited to hear more about her house music journey. So, are you ready? Then let's go. So here she is. DJ D. Wills is in the house. Welcome.
So nice to meet you, Heidi. Thank you so much for having me as a guest.
It is truly my pleasure, and I'm so happy to have you here sharing about your house music journey so far, and about your artist career and DJ music producer career as well. So yeah, pleasure is all mine. Again, welcome to Heidi's house.
Thank you.
And
Can I say this real quick?
yeah.
Thank you so much for that amazing mix you did on Friday for House Motivation on Global FM. It was awesome. Thank you.
Thanks for having me. I really had fun. I was trying to think some kind of. You immediately recognize the chi vibes there a little bit as a homage for the house music and the 40-year anniversary and everything. So yeah, it was my pleasure. Thanks
Awesome.
again. So I'm always having these interviews as a very short kind of a little bit fast-paced snapshot kind of interviews, where I'm gonna ask all the featured guests quite similar questions. Sometimes I might elaborate a bit, but if you are ready, I'm gonna lead us straight to our first question. That is, tell us a little bit, who is DJ D. Wills?
Okay, first of all, my name is Dania Campbell, aka DJ D Wills, and I grew up in the Chicago area, but I've been living in Atlanta for the last 30 years, actually. But Chicago, that's where my roots are when it comes to music, of course. I'm a little bit shy. I'm a bit introverted, so thank you for having me here again because this is kind of taking me out of my shell and letting the people know a little bit who I am, so I do appreciate that. As you mentioned, first, I'm a music fanatic who turned DJ, producer, artist, radio presenter, and the journey has just been amazing. It's been maybe 6 years now, and I didn't expect to be doing all this. So, house music has brought me to this point. So, it's just been magical, really. Yeah.
And I've been able and happy to be witnessing that path for some time as well, since we've been connecting through the social media. And I've been very happy about, for instance, your House Motivation radio program and your releases that you have been doing. The latest one is doing extremely well, and you get to share a little bit later. I'm going to ask a bit more about those, but it has has been something wonderful. And I also remember when you were sharing at some point a little bit about what got you really seriously, into DJing. So I would like to now ask a little bit more about that story and background.
Sure. Wow. I think everyone gets to a point in our lives where we say, what am I good at? What am I here for? And getting older, I thought maybe marriage and having a baby would complete my life full circle, and I would find everything I needed with that. But that didn't happen. So, I got married late in life. I got married in my early 40s, had my child at 42. And then by 46, I still felt like there's more. I need more. I've always loved music, but I never knew how to channel that energy. I didn't sing. I mean, I can't sing. Let me just make that clear. I couldn't sing to save my life. So strangely enough, and just in search of that closure, I guess this need I needed to know what I'm good at, what are my talents. I used to be a part of this organization for women, and it was called NABFEM, and National Association of Black Females and Executives in Music and Entertainment. Okay, and there I was a membership director where we would have people who were from I mean, they did films, they were singers, they were songwriters, and we would do a lot of networking events in Atlanta, and we would never have a DJ. So because of budget. And so one day I said, I'm just going to buy the equipment and I'm going to DJ these events myself, right? But what's
Yeah.
funny about it, I never did one event with that organization. By the time I started DJing, I think I left because that was around 2018. But it motivated me to really get serious about doing that because I saw people have events all the time and they never could find DJs. Fast forward, I say March of 2018, I enrolled in Scratch Academy. And but let me say this, it took me a long time because I kept hanging up the phone and I would call and I'd hang up and I was like, oh, I'm too old for this. I shouldn't do this. This is so stupid. And someone picked up one day and they said, I don't care how old you are, come down here, let's do this. So he told me everything I needed to buy. And I started taking lessons. And by September, I think I had my first gig. So I think I bought 9 lessons. And he looked at me, he said, you got this. But if you need me, call me. And everything just took off from there. So I had my first gig that September. And then I would do small events, birthday parties. I remember being in a beauty salon doing a mixer, things like that. So it was just picking up. And then I didn't do radio until someone asked me, I was uploading my mixes to Mixcloud,
Yeah.
30-minute mixes just for practice. And people would reach out and say, hey, you want to do my show? And it was so exciting. And I think the first program I did was mock radio.
All right.
But Thomas Spann, he, rest in peace, he had reached out to me to do a guest mix. And it was so exciting. And I was in Chicago for the Chosen Few picnic that Friday when it aired. So that was like the most exciting moment for me, is when I got to hear my mix, broadcasted like that. Mm-hmm. Yes. So
It's
it just
quite a journey, and it sounds that it kind of like naturally, almost like organically started to grow and evolve. So I always say that if something happens like this, there's something greater behind that. It's somehow meant to be, I feel.
Yes, I feel so because Heidi, I'm telling you, I wasn't prepared. I didn't have pictures, I didn't have a bio, and I looked up Chris Garrett from Soul Mix Radio. He reached out from London, and I was doing his program, and then some programs in Italy, Capital Disco, and Spain, Radio Senza, Germany. I mean, it was so overwhelming. It was such a blessing to have things, like you say, organically just happen that way. So, yeah.
Beautiful. Now I'm thinking that moment when you did your first gig.
Uh-huh.
Can you still recall the emotion that you went through? How was it to do the first ever live DJing?
It was nice. It was very small, intimate. It was for a wine event. So there were different wine vendors and people were, it was in an art museum and people were tasting the wine and enjoying the music. So it wasn't like, I was there on stage and people were coming to see me open for another DJ. It was just a vibe, and that's simple for me. I love that. Small settings. I love stuff like that. So I wasn't nervous. I had a great time. People enjoyed the music. So, that was great. Yeah.
Beautiful start there as well. And I have to say that I have enjoyed also a lot of your mixes. I'm listening, many of those stations on regular basis, as house head and from different perspective also, because people were including some of my releases there. So of course, you are eager, like, yeah, there's my track, in the mix. So and also thanks to you for giving us support for my music. By the way, I have to mention here about that as well. But that's a beautiful story, and just tells that we need to follow our dreams and trust that feeling inside. Sometimes we might be our biggest opponents ourselves. When you were describing that, picking the phone and then putting it away, I can recognize that feelings as well. But I'm so glad that you chose to move forward with those things, and here you are, and looking forward to see what is happening next and what kind of projects they are gonna evolve out of this, since it has been evolving beautifully, and like mentioned, to your productions and to radio and live performances and everything. But now I'm gonna ask something very early now, since
Okay.
you mentioned even in the beginning that you truly are a house head. So what would you say? Can you still remember what was it that really got you to house music? Was there any kind of particular like memories from the early times that made you fall in love with house?
Absolutely. I remember clearly it was 1987, and it was the summer before I turned 16, and I was at the Taste of Chicago, and we had this radio station there called WBMX, and they would have a stage. And at this particular time, I was there for the first time as a teenager, no parental guidance, I was with my older sister, my cousin, so I got to really spend time uh, and see what people were listening to there. And they would blast the house tracks from that stage and people would just go crazy. And that's when I really fell in love with it. And I remember all the little flyers for the after parties that they would hand out. I mean, names that are big names now, like Farley and Little Lewis and Adonis and things like that. And I was so young, I couldn't really go to the after parties, right? But I do remember it made me be very mischievous because when I turned 16, I did get a fake ID. And I, started hitting the clubs in Chicago. And those are the best times of my life. They really were. And it's so sad smartphones were not around then. We missed out on so much. And I guess no one would have thought Frankie Knuckles would have been, as huge as he is now back then, or Ron Hardy, or, but it was nothing for us kids to go and see them play and have an amazing time. So yeah, those were that's when I really fell in love and I got hooked on house music, was that summer. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's beautiful since you being living in that hometown of house music, so to say, where it all started. And just like you were saying, some of my former guests also who are originating from Chicago were saying that they were living those times and they had no idea that how it's gonna be. It was their youth, and they are so grateful that they were able to witness and take part on those early years when it really started, and then to see how it spread all over the world,
Yeah.
and became a phenomena. Even though house music still is more or less underground music, but it's still way more, of course, now worldwide recognized. But I'm looking forward even more appreciation towards house music, and I hope it gets that, because it truly deserves it. But it's so great to hear you sharing on those from that uh, everyday and personal experience, so to say. And the funny thing, by the way, Dinia, I need to share with this, because my first encounter happened exactly in the same year,
Oh,
1987. I was 14. I was
okay.
14 and I was in Finland, and I was listening my favorite radio program that I used to make my own mixtape with my cassette recorder,
Mhm. Yes.
and I was recording the tracks that I liked. And
Mhm.
I happened to hear my first ever house track, because it was big in Europe. It was making a lot of waves already quite early. So it was Love Can Turn Around, and I was like,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
that was my first one. So it's a fun fact here, just to share, that it really was making waves even to hear.
Yeah.
So and surprisingly early, if I think about, it was a great radio DJ who always was bringing the latest stuff. So uh, you
So
know.
was it an American DJ that was playing that music, or was it a
No, no, it was a Finnish DJ, but really an underground music and club music enthusiastic. And so they were the international radio. So I don't know where did they get the records, but they must have done a lot of effort to get those tracks, and play them then. But it was really cool. Start of something also very special.
right?
So fun thing to connect there. But it's a beautiful journey so far, what we've been able to witness from different parts of the globe. And now I'm gonna continue that journey of yours. If you think about the artists in house music, what would you say? Who are the ones that have inspired you most as a DJ and as an artist and music producer yourself?
Okay. I am a fan of Farley, Jack Master Funk. I love Farley. For the early days, Frankie Knuckles, like I said, Little Lewis. Today I'm listening to Glenn Underground. I'm a huge fan of his music. Anthony Nicholson, Ron Trent. Um, there's so many, I love Kevin Everett. He's a genius. Phil Asher, I've really loved his music. So many, there's just so many, Heidi. Oh my goodness. Sean McCabe. I love Babs Presents. Um, Again, there's just so many. Ben Rebel is amazing. I think his productions today are really, he's so creative. And it takes you into the techno realm, into the Afro tech and Afro house, and so like I said, it's just so many people I'm influenced by. I'm influenced by what you do too. You have very great productions. Um,
Mhm.
um, Louis Vega, Masters at Work. Um, I love Josh Milan, his music, songwriting. Um, and I'm really into vocals. I'm into storytelling and things like that. I think it's very important. So Songwriters are so important in house music. So the rhythms, I mean, everything, it's just everything about house music. So there's really not one person or a few that I could put my finger on to say that have influenced me, because so many have, you know, so many.
And I think that's something like really that truly makes you a real DJ as well, because your taste for house music and different genres is so wide. And I think that is something that is it's very cool to have with the DJ. I mean, we do have, of course, DJs who specialize then in particular genre and so on. But I truly feel that it's a great thing, you know, to have that openness,
Yes.
whether you're DJ or music producer or artist, of course, as well. But especially, I would say that to be a DJ and have openness, you know, on different genres, and then being able to present new music and that kind of role that the DJ has, it's something very, very great for everybody else around them, you know, for the music community and artists and music lovers and so forth. So I'm hearing that actually, and I understand that it is very, very tricky to
Yes.
say, because there's always something cool to find, you know, and to
Yes.
be inspired of. So
And I don't want to be in a box, you know, Heidi, you know,
yeah,
I don't want to be known for soulful house or Afro house, or I love good music. If I hear it, I'm going to play it. So
yeah, yeah. It's
that's how.
beautiful, beautiful principle and approach to have.
Yeah.
So now I'm gonna ask again, almost impossible question, but that's why I'm gonna modify it now, because I'm asking it from also from DJ, and it's very unfair. So I'm gonna modify it a bit, because the original question is name 3 of your favorite house music tracks. And
Okay.
I know that it just, you know, usually doesn't work, but let's modify it like that what would be those tracks that you always seem to come back to? Let's say that you never get tired of hearing. What would those kind of tracks be if you could name few for our audience?
Sure. I could have these 3 on repeat, I think, every day. Fable by Little Lewis and
Mhm.
Shina Black, the Frankie Knuckles edit. That's my favorite record, I think, of all time. I love Brighter Days by Kashmir. I love that song. And there's so many different versions of it now, so you don't have
Yeah, you can pick one.
on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I could find a different version to play every day. But I love that song. And Move Your Body, Marshall Jefferson. Like, you know, you hear it and it's house music, you know. I never get tired of that. So
No, that never goes. I was actually yesterday listening that one extended version of it, and I was just saying to myself, okay, this is just so now. It's still so now. It never goes, you know,
never
it
gets
never
old.
goes out.
No.
Yeah, it's timeless piece, really. All right, now we are gonna get to very interesting part for our viewers, for our audience. Since I'm gonna ask about your own music production, so could you share us what got you into your own music production?
Well, you know, funny enough, I had purchased the production software, but I thought maybe I was going to take my time, you know, over several years and learn and grow. But luckily, 2020, when we all were locked down at home, I found, well, actually, Ben Rebel reached out to me, found me, and said, listen, I want to work with a female DJ, and you're going to have to work hard, but I'll teach you production. And, you know, and I said, this is great, because I was just going to go up on YouTube and just kill myself trying to figure this stuff out. So
Yeah.
you telling me you want to do this, and when I learn it, all I have to do in return is show someone else, I'm in. So we would schedule Zoom meetings every week, Thursdays or whatever, and we get on Zoom and we start production. And that's how I got into it, and a lot faster than I would have had he not reached out. So it was a blessing. Like you said, this journey has just been, things have just been happening, opening, and it's just been just so amazing, you know. So that's how that happened. In terms of the track selections, Ben had an ideal of, since I was, looking on stations globally, he's like, open your mind to different types of music. Don't just stay soulful. Don't just stay this. So, it's helped me try to incorporate more sounds into what I'm listening to be creative. And the first question was, what is your sound? What does that sound like? Can you, help me understand what it is? If you had to sum it up, what is your sound? And it was a really good question, because what we were just saying earlier, I don't want to be in a box. If it sounds good, then I'm going to create from there. I'm going to create a mix from there. I'm going to create a song from there. So, um, and a lot of times when I'm creating, I see pictures, like I see things. Do you know what I mean? Some people say they see colors.
Yeah,
I,
yeah.
I think of a story. I think of a scene in a movie or something, and that's how I create. So, but that's how I got into production, and it happened really fast. And
Mm.
that time with lockdown was a blessing, because I got to actually learn something to
Yes.
what I'm doing. So that was great.
Yeah, it's a
Mhm.
beautiful, beautiful story of really like taking on a new challenge, and like you were saying, using that time well for your benefit, and then also sharing about that that creative process, since yes, it truly takes time, of course, to learn the whole production process and the equipments and tools and everything. That's one part. But then the fact that how we create, you referred to having a movie scenery and using that imaginary and so on. We artists, we have those kind of beautiful ways of creating these tracks, and that having that visual image is actually one way to approach it too. I have talked with people who some got inspired by telling some kind of story or for the lyrics or something like this, and like you mentioned, some people even they might feel it as a color or some other kind of sensation. But also I have had those moments where I imagine a scenery, like
Yes.
somewhere in a particular place, and how it would sound, and then you kind of start to craft it out of there. So yeah, that's a nice thing to share, and maybe something for some people watching this who are producing music to try out to get their creative flow going. So thank you for sharing that. Now, this interview, like mentioned in the beginning, is very snapshot kind of interview, and I always feel that I could, have one or two more episodes with each guest here. But I'm gonna now continue to our last but not least question. So, what is next for DJ D Wills? Could you
Well,
share something about the future
sure.
prospects projects?
Absolutely. Well, my goal is with House Motivation is, you know, syndicating things on whatever stations I'm on. It's going to be, that show. And the goal is to just share the platform, right, with other DJs. And, we just share great music, we collaborate, and we give other people a shot at doing something. Maybe if they're not on there or they want to do it, that they can. I would love to do events under that name. it's, it's going to grow. So I really want to grow that. And also production. So I have music, you know how it goes. You have stuff that you haven't finished. So
Yeah.
I do plan on releasing new music towards the summer. Well, the end of the summer. But and other than that, I'm going to hopefully travel internationally this fall. Fingers crossed. So that would be the first for me. So other than that, I just stay tuned to see what else is coming my way, honestly. So
Well, I can see all of that happening already, and I do know that all of those things will happen. It's just a, matter of time. And I know you being, and now the pun intended, a powerhouse, a powerhouse lady. So I can, I can recognize that in you, and it's just lovely to see that you've been playing now in festivals. What I've been seeing also, and doing that, and so it's all gonna just, just as organically as it has been, and then also with that intention, that we put when we put our intention to some certain kind of direction, of course, then, we create a new opportunities and new ideas, and that's the beauty of the whole thing, that it just keeps growing, and you kind of know where you are going to, but you never know still what kind of new opportunities will come out of that. So that's wonderful to follow in you, in any of my fellow artists and house heads in my own journey, and that's what it's all about, this kind of beautiful journey that we are in. And I always say that house music especially has the power to connect and unite people. So that's truly what it does. And I'm again very grateful also for you, for offering a platform for other DJs, as well as artists, since you play their music, to get exposed and to offer the support. It's super important, since house music still, it's not a mainstream, and so on. So the network, the mutual exchange and help, it's very important in this scene still, and which is also making it very beautiful. Actually, it's not fully commercial, but it's based on really, like, connections.
yes, it is. It is. Yes, for sure. It's exciting, and like you said, you haven't even met the person that may change your life yet.
Yeah.
Again, like there's still so much more in store, and I see you do. I mean, as a DJ, you are on fire right now, Heidi. So,
I'm pushing it.
I'm looking forward to seeing what's in store for you as well. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
Well, now, quick question, to the end. For those people who want to know more about you and follow you in social media, where can they find you?
Sure. I'm on everything. Twitter, I'm on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Everything's under DJ D period Wills. So, and I also have a link. It's under www.sociatap, sociatap.com/DJ D Wills. And you can find
Alright.
everything.
So people, go there, and thank you again for this amazing interview. We are gonna continue with the mini mix that includes some of the wonderful tracks of this artist. And we thank you again, sending much love from Helsinki.
Thank you, Heidi. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.